doing, everybody, and welcome in to Wisconsin Sports on the Go with Trag. I'm your host, Trag. It is Wednesday, July 17th, a fantastic Wednesday here in the great state of Wisconsin, or wherever you're tuning in from out there in the great nation or world. I don't know. I just got to say it. But it was a good day yesterday. We saw some exciting news coming out of the Milwaukee Bucks. So I want to tap into that today. I want to talk a lot of Brewers today. We're in the All-Star break, right? And got a little bit of time now to reflect on this Brewers team in this first half of the season. So I want to dip into that today. Lots to get into, and I can't wait. So to start it out, we did see the Bucks make a fantastic move. I thought a fantastic move, and that was signing Gary Trent Jr. to a one-year deal. And, you know, Gary Trent, is he your blow him out of the water guard? No, nothing crazy like a Steph Curry kind of character, right? But Gary Trent Jr., I mean, you look at his stats there. After 3.5 seasons in Toronto, he averaged 13.7 points per game on 43% shooting in 71 games. That was the 2023-2024 season. And he also shot 39% from three back in 2019. So this guy can shoot it. We know he can shoot. He has shot 41% on catch and shoot three-pointers over the past 2 seasons. So you look at him, that's an ideal fit. If you really put it into perspective, having guys like Dame, having guys like Giannis out there with them, and those two having the basketball so much, that gives Gary Trent some good open looks, right? Those two are going to demand such a presence, and that is going to leave Gary Trent open there. And I love the signing. I love the signing for the Milwaukee Bucks. I really feel like Gary Trent is going to add a valuable piece. He's a valuable shooting guard being brought in by the Milwaukee Bucks here. And, I mean, looking at him last season there, like I was saying before, 42% from the field, 39% from downtown. He was 39% back in 2020, 41% in 2019. A consistent over 35% three-point shooter, and a consistent right around 40% from the field, you know, with Gary Trent. So a good score, right? Averages, 14 points a game. Last season averaged 13 points a game. Season before that, 17 points a game. This is a guy, you're pairing him back with Dame. He had some time there with Damian Lillard. You're pairing him back with him now. It could spell some trouble. It could spell some trouble for the rest of the Eastern Conference. And I'm not saying it was a blow him out of the water move like a Paul George, you know, in some people's minds and stuff like that. But putting Gary Trent in there, you have him along with Damian Lillard and Chris Middleton and Giannis and Brook Lopez right now. That's a pretty darn good starting five. I mean, you look at you take it into perspective of what the Bucks have done this offseason, and you look at the Gary Trent deal. That adds a shooting guard, replaces Malik Beasley, and adds a shooting guard to the mix there, most likely to be a starter there along with Dame. And then you look at what they've done to their bench now. Deleon, Wright, Torian, Prince. You have those two added on here. Prince, pretty good defender there, pretty good shooter. Wright can defend, pretty good ball with the ball. And then you look, Bobby Portis still on that bench. You have Andre Jackson Jr. coming back, are going to be a little bit more experienced, right? Having some time there in the finals, having some time throughout the year, a little bit more experience. Same with AJ Green. You get those two guys back into the fold. I'm a fan. I'm a fan of the new look Bucks. I got to be honest with you. I'm a fan of what they have done with little to nothing to be able to spend or anything on free agents, the Bucks. I mean, they're in a nightmare situation because, well, not a nightmare, so to speak, but a situation where we can't afford to spend a lot, right? With Lillard, with Lopez, with Middleton, with Chris, making what they are, you got to fit in pieces where you can fit in pieces, and this is a massive piece. That the Bucks signed here with Gary Trent. Now, is this the piece that tells you the Bucks are back? The Bucks are going to be right there, right? The Sixers added. They still have some room to add. The Celtics are going to bring the cast of characters back. Looking around, I mean, You're going to have the Pacers will be returning a lot. I mean, Cavs are always going to be a little bit, on your edge there. The Knicks, is this Bucks team back? Are they back near the top? I believe so. I'll be honest. This Gary Trent deal, add him in with the rest of those starters with some time together already. And now Gary Trent's going to get some time with these guys. And then you add on Deleon Wright and Torian Prince there. I like what I'm seeing. The Bucks have a little bit of depth to work with. They have a pretty good cast of characters in that starting lineup. I like the way the Bucks are trending. So to say they're back, I got to agree with you. I believe the Bucks, they might be back. They might have the faith of some Wisconsin, Milwaukee Bucks fans faithful. However you would say that, the faithful of the Milwaukee Bucks. They might have them back in. They might be believing. They might be believing one more time that this Bucks team does have what it takes to possibly dethrone the Boston Celtics coming up here next season there. So good stuff coming out of the Milwaukee Bucks. Great news. I honestly think great news coming out of the Milwaukee Bucks there. But with that, before we move on, before we get into a little bit of baseball talk for the day, I want to mention the great sponsors that make this show happen. First, Game Day Supply in Alaska. Do you have a sports club or team? Are you looking for some sweet custom uniforms or apparel? Check out the awesome crew at Game Day Supply in Alaska to help your team get the sweetest gear. Find them on Facebook at Game Day Supply or online at GameDaySupply.net. Also, Sport and Spine Clinic in Greenwood, Wisconsin. If you've been injured recently, whether you were mowing the lawn or playing with the kids, whatever it was, and you were injured and you think you might need some physical therapy, stop in there and see Chad at Sport and Spine Clinic in Greenwood, Wisconsin. He will get you right. He'll get you back to work, back playing with the kids, back doing whatever you were doing and feeling better than ever. Sport and Spine Clinic in Greenwood. Sports Scene, sports cards, and memorabilia. Located at the Marshfield Mall in Marshfield, Wisconsin. You got to get down there and see Al. He has everything you need from sporting cards to memorabilia, jerseys, model stock cars. He's got it all. Sports Scene in Marshfield. Marshfield Motor Speedway is located just 3 miles outside of Marshfield on County Road H. Get down there this summer. Tons of family fun for all ages. Great food, great drinks, great atmosphere. Nothing better than a great summer day or night down there at the track. So Marshfield Motor Speedway is there in Marshfield, Wisconsin. Pittsfield Farm and Home Center. At the store, they serve you anything from hydraulic hoses to red roses. Stop in and see the awesome crew at Pittsfield Farm and Home Center in Pittsfield, Wisconsin. And also your hometown team, Century 21 Gold Key Realty. Call Peggy Sue or Anna to find your dream home, or if you're looking to sell. Find them on Facebook at your hometown team, Century 21 Gold Key Realty, or stop in and see them at their location in Marshfield, Wisconsin there. But with that, let's get to some Brewers. Let's get to some MLB. Let's get to some Brewers. We saw, and, I don't want to rip on her. But that national anthem for the Home Run Derby was bad. Bad. I mean, that was as bad as Fergie. And I thought Fergie was bad. Like, Fergie was atrocious. And this was bad. So, we see that. We're like, man, 4 Grammy nominations, and this is the music that we're like. This is the voice. This is the voice behind that. I truthfully had never heard of her. Like, I'll be honest with you, I'm a big country music fan, and excuse me, there, I have never heard of her. So when I listened to that, I was like, I listened to a good amount of country music, and I've never heard her sing before. And I was like, I don't even know if this is the real voice, right? If this is the real voice behind it. Now, I'm going to be honest with you, I didn't go up afterwards and search her up and listen to some music or anything like that. I was just like, there's no way, right? There's no way that it's this bad. You have 4 Grammy nominations. You're not this bad, right? You're not this bad. It turns out, she ended up releasing a little paragraph and on social media explaining what happened, I guess. And, well, this is rough. This is bad luck. Right here. She goes, I'm not gonna, and she put bull but I'm going to put bull crap there instead. She goes, I'm not going to bull crap, y'all. I was drunk last night. I'm checking myself into a facility today to get help I need. The help that I need. Yeah, the wording in here. She might have been still drunk when she wrote this. That was not me last night. I apologize to MLB, all the fans in this country I love so much for that rendition. I'll let y'all know how rehab is. I hear it's super fun. XO Ingrid. She might have still been toasted when she wrote that message. I'm gonna be honest with you. I hear it's super fun. Like, okay, we'll catch you on the flip side. Like, weird. Like, that was, I mean, hearing that last night, right? And then now today, this comes out. It's like, are you serious right now? Like, this is what we got going on. We could just have Chris Stapleton do the national anthem for every game. That'd be fine. I don't think anybody would complain hearing Chris Stapleton do it every single time. Like, nobody. Not a single soul would find a reason, right? Shouldn't say that. I feel like Cub fans would get upset. With Chris Stapleton. But nobody in their right mind. I'm not going to just throw Cub fans under the bus there. Nobody in their right mind is going out there and complaining about that. So, man, oh man, that was rough. And there's a lot of hate over social media and everything like that. And I get it. I guess I shouldn't say I get it. I get that social media. Like, that's just how it is. Social media tears people apart. They tear actors, actresses, singers, players, whatever it is. They tear them apart. That's what social media is for. So it did not surprise me that I saw social media tearing her apart. Hopefully, if all this, hopefully she gets the help she needs, right? Because if that was solely because of that, then yes, she desperately needs some help, and hopefully she gets that help and gets, I don't think she's going to get a redo. Like, I don't think they're going to, maybe at like a single A, Arizona League game, maybe, for baseball, or maybe a G League game for maybe a high school basketball game. They give her the shot, right? Maybe a high school basketball game in like some backwoods town that's got like a population of 1,000. I just explained my town, like some backwoods town. They're just like, yeah, you can go and you can do your thing. You can do your thing here, and we'll see how it goes. If you forget the words again and you claim that it was because the rehab didn't help, well, we'll send you back, right? Just a bad situation all the way around. Just hopefully she gets the help that she needs and possibly gets back to singing at some point there. I don't know if she's going to get a redo, but hopefully she gets back and doing her thing there, singing and everything like that. So with that, before we get to the Brewers, I just had one thing to mention. I just saw it today on social media, and that was from the great Mike Clemens from the state of Wisconsin there. He said he tweeted out there, he said, before he arrived, we were instructed if anyone asked Jordan Love about training camp or his contract talks with the Green Bay Packers, the interview will be over. We asked, they ended it. Some lady all of a sudden just goes, Brian Gutekunst, and then she asked a question about his contract, and the one guy comes up, he's like, we're done here. We're done. Like, I just thought it was hilarious. It was funny. It's his own, personal thing. If he doesn't want to discuss it right now, he doesn't want to discuss it right now. I believe that they're going to get it done. Everything that I've heard trends towards they're going to get it done. So it's just an annoyance at this point. He was running a youth camp, just an annoyance at this point, and he just doesn't want to hear about it. He wants to hear about anything else. He wants to get asked questions about anything else. He just doesn't want to get into that. So I'm okay with that. I'm going to be honest, it might have seemed like a bad look for some people. Some people might have seen it as a bad look. I don't. If dude doesn't want to talk about it, dude doesn't want to talk about it. It's not his job to have to talk about it. He doesn't have to tell you jack dilly squat about anything that's going on. So I don't feel bad that the reporter might have looked like a doorknob, that the interview was ended and everything like that. I don't feel bad whatsoever. He made his statement. He said, if this is brought up, we're done. We're going to end it. It was brought up. We were done. We ended it right there. I love that out of him, actually. I love that out of him. He's controlling the media. He's not feeding the media. That's what it's how, I even get my stories, right, to talk about. The media needs to be fed in some way, shape, or form. But I love that he's not the guy like Aaron Rodgers who feeds into it. He wants the media to feed him, to get the attention, to throw his name out there, to talk about him all the time. Jordan Love doesn't care. He wants to get this contract done. He wants to get, paid for his talent. He wants to have his time, guaranteed in Green Bay, and he wants to go win football games. That's all he wants, right? You can tell that by the guy. Just the way that he talks, the way that he acts. He wants to win games, right? And he wants to have that job security too. He wants to be paid like he's got job security. So you don't blame him. You can't blame the guy. Why would you want to play on a last leg, right? Because all of a sudden, if Green Bay just decides, well, we don't want you anymore, then what? So I don't blame him. I don't blame him whatsoever for not wanting to talk about it, and I'm hoping that this deal gets done within this next week here. I'm hoping it gets done this week. I'm hoping it gets done today. I want to see something pop across my Twitter or anything, Facebook, anything like that, any of those lines that says, we're good. Jordan Love has signed this contract. We're good to go. Like that would be awesome. That'd be awesome to see there. So just a little Jordan Love news there. And actually sticking with the Packers, the Green Bay Packers received a record amount of national revenue from the NFL in the fiscal year 2024, resulting in a profit from operation of $60.1 million. The Packers and the rest of the NFL's 32 teams for the first time received more than $400 million from the league, with the team getting $402.3 million in national revenue. That means the NFL split nearly $13 billion among the teams. Last year was the first time over $12 billion. The year before was a first time over $10 billion. Despite being the NFL's smallest market team, Green Bay continues to generate strong revenue. Love to see it. Love to see the Green Bay Packers. Love to see the green and gold still bringing in the moolah for the NFL and bringing in the moolah back home for themselves. They love to see it. Can't beat it. Can't beat it there. So let's get to some Brewers. Enough talk about anything like that. Let's get to some Brewers. So I want to get first half reactions. I want to get some first half reactions to what we have seen. So number one, first and foremost, could we, I, you, we, whoever's listening out there right now, could we see Pat Murphy winning Manager of the Year? And this is one that I've tossed around. I've tossed it around to myself. I'm like, okay. If I'm looking, and this is just me, I guess. When I look for a Manager of the Year, I'm automatically disqualifying managers who have loaded rosters. Right? The Dodgers. Dave Roberts. What's the dude got to do? Right? Honestly, what does he got to do? He's got to throw a lineup card together that involves Shohei Ohtani and Freddie Freeman and Mookie Betts. That's rough. I could do that. I could figure that one out. And, look at the Phillies. Right now, Alec Bohm, Bryce Harper, Nick Castellanos, Kyle Schwarber. You could go through that lineup all over the place and find boppers in there. I'd probably just... Trey Turner. I just forgot about Trey Turner. Trey Turner. Makes your job tough with the Phillies there. I was just going to look at a couple of the other ones there. Orioles. Yes, the Orioles have been a story. They're still a young team, but this Orioles team was already projected to be as good as what they are. We saw what they did last year. They were projected to be at top or near the top of this division again. Yankees, same thing. Look at the loaded roster. You have Juan Soto. You have Aaron Judge out there. Yes, the rest of the roster has stunk at times, right? But outside of that, the pitching's been good. And you still have big bats in that lineup. Like, nobody's blinking an eye and saying that the Yankees don't have bats in that lineup. So, Yankees. If I'm looking at managers that I would put into a Manager of the Year award, and I'm pretty sure it goes by NL and AL managers there. Yeah, it goes by NL and AL. So that does bode well for Pat there. But if I'm looking NL Manager of the Year right now, I'd be looking at the Braves. Number one, I'm looking at Pat Murphy and the Brewers. Don't get me wrong. Pat Murphy is up there, so don't nobody think that I'm just completely throwing, Pat Murphy isn't even involved. Pat Murphy is involved in this talk. But I'm looking at the Braves. And the way that Brian Snitker has been able to keep this roster together with, you lose Strider, you lose Acuna, right? And you're playing in a division already that involves the Phillies, who are red hot, and you're still keeping pace. You're in a wild card race right now, but you could potentially find your way back. But you're in a wild card race. That job is impressive. That's impressive to me. You lose two big names, not one, two big names for an entire season, and you're still hanging around. You're still playing team stuff. You still have that plus 65 run differential. That's not saying the Braves don't have other weapons, because, look, Matt Olson, Ozzie Albies, Michael Harris, Austin Riley, and Sean Murphy, right? They still got weapons. Marcell Ozuna, don't forget about Marcell. They still have weapons. And Chris Sale's been pitching on a different kind of level this year. But what he has been able to do without Acuna and Strider and keeping this team together, I thought that's been impressive. So I'm looking at Brian Snitker with the Braves. I'm looking at, I don't want to say the St. Louis Cardinals. The Cardinals, I don't like Oliver Marmol. I really don't. But the way that if the Cardinals keep trending back up, where they started versus where they are now, if they can find a way to keep trending up, it's hard not to put Marmol into there too. And then, you look at the D-backs. And the D-backs sitting behind the Dodgers yet, which, surprise, surprise, right? But Torey Lovullo, look at his last season, putting the D-backs into the playoffs, getting them all the way to the World Series. Now this season, the way that it started to now sitting 7 games back of the Dodgers there, and they're above 500 once again, there's something to look at there. But Pat Murphy, look at the projections to start the year. After the Burns trade, just look at how many people just wrote him off. Said there's no way. No way this team finds a way. They have the third best record in the National League. They're actually only one loss behind the Dodgers in the overall rankings there. I was just going to look at the league ranking, or the league, there, and the Brewers are 1 game back of the Dodgers for the second spot in the NL, for the 2 seed as of right now. Now, like I said, a lot of things can change from now until then, but it's impressive. It is just downright impressive what Pat Murphy has been able to do. We always talked about with Craig Counsell. Craig was so impressive because they gave him little to nothing, and he was able to find ways to win games, right? Find ways to use the bullpen right. Find ways to pull guys at right times at times, right? People got ticked because he pulled them too early, or he didn't pull them at all, but Craig always seemed to find a way. And, a lot of people thought that they lost that when Craig left. And then you trade Corbin Burns. And it's like, well, they're kind of throwing in the towel, right? The pitching's gone. They don't have this dominant staff anymore of Burns, Woodruff, and Freddie. They don't have that big 3-headed monster anymore at the top of that rotation. They don't have Devin Williams to start the year, right? And they're banking on a bunch of rookies, young pitchers, journeyman pitchers, been there, done that starters. Heck, at one point, he had a starter that was worth $1. We traded for Dallas Keuchel for $1. And to get to that point and still find a way to win games, right? They've had just about I mean, look at right away to start the year, right? Devin Williams goes down. He's injured, right? Something with his back, right? He has stress fractures in his back. He's done. And then all of a sudden, you're banking on Garrett Mitchell, right? Garrett Mitchell's going to start the year at center field. That was the plan. That was the plan. And then all of a sudden, Garrett Mitchell gets hurt again. And it's just this freak accident. And you're like, what are we going to do, right? What are we going to do? And then Wade Miley goes down. You were banking on Wade Miley to be almost a number 2 in the rotation. Wade Miley goes down. Jacob Junis starts the year, goes down. Joe Ross starts the year, goes down. And it's like, where do we turn? Now, we bring up Robert Gasser. Gasser's pitching well. Gasser goes down. And then you bring up this Tobias Myers. He starts to look rough right away. It ends up being fantastic. Right now, he is, the only rookie pitcher to go 8 innings, and he's done it multiple times. Tobias Myers has been fantastic over his last outings here. But the amount of diversity, the amount of adversity, there's the word I was looking for, adversity, diverse situations, adversity that this Brewers team has had to face this season. And they just keep on bringing it. They find a way, right? They find a way. That's the only thing that people ask me, excuse me, how would you explain the Milwaukee Brewers? How would you explain them? They're third in the NL right now, record-wise. They're 1 game back of the second spot. How would you describe how they've made it here? I just basically say that they just find a way. I don't know how else to describe it. The pitching isn't like, you're not going to look at the Brewers pitching staff, you're not going to watch them, and you're going to say, that's a dominant staff. You're not going to look at them and say that. Do they have good outings? Yeah, they do. They do. But you don't look at them in the same light that you look at the Dodgers pitching staff or the Phillies, pitching staff there, Yankees, right? Orioles. You don't look at them the same way. You look at the Brewers pitching staff and you say, that's a weak point, right? You look at their lineup. If you looked at them at the start of the year and you would have saw the guys they were going to be rolling out, there ain't a lot of good in there, right? That's what you would have said. From an outside looking in perspective, you'd have said, oh, Bryce Terang struggled last year, right? And Joey Ortiz coming over from the Orioles, not much is known, right? And he struggled. He struggled a little bit. What are we going to do with that, right? And I forgot to mention D.O. Hall going on the injury. I just remembered him with that Orioles trade there. But, Joey Ortiz. And then you look around, Sal Frelick, well, he didn't hit for a lot of pop, and he's got a weaker swing and stuff like that. He doesn't hit a lot of, hard hit balls and stuff like that. So, Sal's kind of a question mark for me, right? Jackson Churro, we don't know what to expect. Garrett Mitchell's on the shelf. And, Yelich, what are you going to get out of Yelich, right? You don't know. Yelich has been so up and down over the years. Usually he heats up in July, right? But you never know what you're going to get with Yelich. Willie Adames is hot and cold, right? Contreras coming off of a good year last year. What was he going to bring this year? There was so many question marks. Who is going to be that guy? Who is going to anchor the staff? Who is going to do this? Who is going to do that? And somehow, some way, they found their way to this point. You can't say that it's all Pat Murphy. Pat Murphy isn't playing the game. Pat Murphy isn't throwing the pitches and not swinging the bat. But I feel like Pat Murphy is the guy who's instilling confidence in every one of these guys, who's giving them the edge, who's giving them the moto, the can-do attitude inside that dugout. The attitude changed, I believe, when Craig Counsell left and Pat Murphy came in. It was just a different kind of attitude. The clubhouse is still light, right? They still, celebrate. They're still light. They're not like Tony La Russa out there, They still, keep it light and everything like that. But, man, oh, man, this is an angry team. And they ain't afraid to get in your face and tell you about it. And Pat ain't afraid to do it either. He'll stick up for his guys. And I think that is the biggest difference maker for me. Is Pat isn't afraid to get thrown out of a game. He'll walk out of the dugout. You look at that Rays series, right? He knew he was getting tossed when he came out of the dugout. He still did. Why? He was fighting. He was standing up for his guy. He was standing up for his guy. And I love that. That is the kind of manager that you want. That is the kind of manager that any player wants. So, for me, could Pat Murphy win Manager of the Year? 100 times, 1,000% yes. 1,000% yes. Now, could I see it swinging a couple different ways depending on how the records finish out? Say the Diamondbacks win the NL West somehow. They beat the Dodgers, right? They win the NL West. Well, then Lavello's got a pretty good case for that top spot, right? So, I mean, the way it's going to depend on how it plays out. But right now, I could definitely say Pat Murphy for Manager of the Year is in my top 3. He is in my top 3. Most definitely there. And, I talked about getting into some of the player talk. Looking at some of the players on this team and where they were last season to where they are now. The number one guy that it seems like I always find myself looking at this guy because it's a night and day difference is Bryce Terang. I mean, Bryce Terang last season to this season is a massive turnaround. You can't look at it and say, oh, well, he just last season he was, good, average, and this season he's just okay. This guy should have been in the conversation for the All-Star game. This guy should have definitely been in the conversation for the All-Star game. Why he wasn't is still a mystery, and it still irritates me to this day. But Bryce Terang on this season, I mean, you're talking, looking at his total hits from last season to this season, in 137 games last season, in 404 at-bats, he had 88 hits. You look at him this year, in 336 at-bats, he has 93 hits. He had 34 RBIs last year. He has 38 RBIs this year. Last season, 6 home runs. This season, 6 home runs. Looking at his walks, he's only got 5 less than last year already. Strikeouts way down as of right now for Bryce Terang. Stolen bases, he's actually up 4 from last season already. He has 30 stolen bases on the year. His average sitting at 277. The on-base percentage at 341. The OPS at 731. It is a night and day difference when you look at this guy compared to last season. I mean, it is downright impressive. And just the resiliency of Bryce Terang. I mean, if you would have told me that this was the guy we were going to get after watching him last year, I would have taken a bet. I've been like, sure, $20 says he doesn't. Right? I thought he could develop into a little bit better of a hitter, but you look at him last year, that's all that everybody said. This guy's a great defender. If he could just find a little bit of a bat. I was expecting a little bit of a bat that would get him into the 7th spot in the order, right? This guy's been, leadoff. Bat and leadoff, putting good at-bats together, drawing walks, limiting the strikeouts, getting on base, stealing bases. Nothing but impressive. And, Pat Murphy, he says the best when he said, I'm proud of, like I just said, the resiliency of this guy. He just kept coming. He kept coming through all that adversity, kept coming. And finally, he found his stroke. The bat was just getting hot. And you love to see it. You love to see it there. Same with 3 other guys. 2 of them, Perkins, Frelick, they've been going at it for a while now since last season there. But Jackson Chourio too. Jackson Chourio to me has been nothing but fantastic in the last couple months here. And looking at him, I was just pulling up his stats there. Looking at him over this season, he's hitting 243, but you look at the stats. Over the last 15 games, 291. You look at him over the last 7, he did slump a little bit there, 172. But over that last 15, over the last 30, 290, 291 over the last 15. And to go along with it, 5 home runs over the last 30 games. 14 RBIs, 11 walks over the last 30 games there. You got to love it. You got to love it there. You had that 3 home runs with the 14 RBIs and the 11 walks, 20 strikeouts there for him, 3 stolen bases, a 290 average. That's impressive. Out of Jackson Chourio. So I love the steps that he's been able to take throughout the season because right away, this was a guy that I kept talking about it. When Mitchell came back, I was, thinking about who would I send down, and that was a guy on my list. Because I'm already paying him. It's not like I'm not going to pay him when he's down there, but I want him to get at bats and I want him to get back going, and that was something I thought about there. Next up, though, Sal Frelick. The defense from all 3 of these guys. Frelick, Perkins have been fantastic. Churro been getting better, right? I mean, he's had a couple of, mental errors at times, but been getting better. Sal Frelick, though, at the plate, my goodness. 333 average over the last 7 games, 333 over the last 15, 316 over the last 30 games there out of Sal. 6 RBIs over the last 30 games, 9 walks, 10 strikeouts, 6 stolen bases, 31 hits over the last 30 games. Wow. You got to love what you're seeing out of Sal Frelick there. And, I mean, on the season, 275 average. That is good stuff out of Sal Frelick. One guy that, Blake Perkins has been an up and down. He's been an up and down average kind of guy. To start the season, he got hot for the Brewers. It kind of cooled off a little bit there. He's still hovering with that 243 average. Over the last 7 games, 217. Over the last 15, 239. Over the last 30, he's been bad, 247. Nothing to shake your head at. This guy's an A-plus defender. A-plus defender, and he brings a little bit of a bat. He works counts. That's the biggest thing when I look at Blake Perkins, his ability to work counts. His ability to work counts has been nothing but great, nothing but fantastic. So those 3 right there have been downright impressive to me in this first half of the season. Those 4, counting Terang in there. And I can't wait to see more of that in the second half here. Another one that I had is Christian Yelich. Christian Yelich, I'm going to be the first one to tell you that at one point, I gave up on ever seeing a guy like this again. I gave up on seeing Christian Yelich return to this kind of form, but I'll eat my words. I ate my words with Jordan Love. I'll eat them here. You look over the last 7 games, 348 average. You look over the last 15, he's hitting 327. You look over the last 30 games there, he's hitting 339. 5 home runs over the last 30 games, 12 RBIs, 18 walks to 19 strikeouts, 11 stolen bases, 38 hits in that time span, and a 545 slugging in 30 games. There's on-base percentage 435, and his average sitting 339. Man, oh man. This guy has been torching the baseball here for the Brewers. He's sitting with that 326 average at the break there. Looking at his home run total at 11 already, 41 RBIs. I'm not going to sit here and say that getting the MVP is going to be tough, so I'm not going to say that he's an automatic favorite to win the MVP. I feel like he should be higher. He was pretty low last time I looked at the MVP odds. He was pretty low. So I feel like that's got to change, but, man, oh man, if Yelich keeps hitting like this, he could propel the Brewers a pretty long ways by himself there. Not by himself, but, being that main cog in the engine that makes that baby run, being that spark plug for this team. Looking at another guy for the Brewers here. Lots to get into with this Brewers talk here, and I feel like we're going to carry this one over into tomorrow because we're already running along here on the Brewer talk. But another guy that I'm looking at and I'm saying to myself, can he get it going, is Rhys Hoskins. Hoskins, to me, ever since he came back from injury, has been slowly trying to find it again. It seems like he's just behind pitches. He's not seeing the ball right, and that has led to his problems, I truthfully believe. He's still running into a baseball every once in a while. You look at him over his last 7 games. 3 home runs, 8 RBIs, 2 walks, 12 strikeouts, 192 average. Looking at him over the last 15 games, 3 home runs. Over the last 30 games, 4 home runs. So he's got 1 more home run there to add into that total. I don't want to say that he's down and out because I believe once we get into the dog days of summer, after the All-Star breaks here, we're going to get into the trade deadline, and then it'll become the dog days, right? The race to the finish. And I really do think Rhys Hoskins will get it going. I do. It's just going to be a matter of when it happens. Philly fans know it. My buddy there from Brutally Honest Sports there, Aaron, he always talks about, this Brewer or this Rhys Hoskins situation. And he always says, Rhys did the same thing in Philly. It'd be a week, maybe 2 of bomb after bomb, hit after hit, and then all of a sudden he'd go off for a little bit. And then he'd find it again. Okay, we just got to see that. We got to see that side of Rhys Hoskins. I can live with the 250 hitter. I can live with a 250 hitter. I can live with a 250 hitter with about, 30 bombs. I can live with that. That's what we're paying Rhys Hoskins for. So I want to see that average come up a little bit and just see Rhys produce in that 5-hole, in the 4-hole, wherever he is that day. That's all you can hope for right now. And I do believe that Rhys Hoskins will get it going. I think it's going to take time. Like I said, I don't think he was seeing the baseball well. I think this break is going to be much needed, and he's going to get some work in during this little bit of an all-star break. He's going to get a little bit of work in there, and he's going to be ready to go come Saturday there when the Brewers face off against the Minnesota Twins. Another guy here, I want to wrap it up with this. We'll get to a little bit more team stats tomorrow. We'll also look at the pitching tomorrow for the Brewers and see what we think in that aspect. Also, we got touching the All-Star break game tomorrow on the show there, or the All-Star game there. But Willy Adames. Willy Adames is such a hot and cold. Some fans love him. Some fans would be okay if the Brewers let him go kind of guy. Right? A lot of people, and they make the same argument. Well, he's a clubhouse guy. I agree. He is a clubhouse guy. But Willy Adames goes hot and he goes cold fast. You look at him over his last 7 games, he's batting .393. Through the last 15 games, .305. Last 30 games, .246. There's your kicker with Willy Adames. He's going to be streaky. Right now, before the All-Star break, he got hot. He's in 4 for 4 against the Nationals there in that last game. Otherwise, 1 for 4. He goes on tears, right? He goes on streaks. So you take it and you leave it with Willy, right? You gotta, if you're going to put your trust in Willy Adames, you just got to accept that. I mean, Willy is a career, I believe he's a career like 260 hitter, if I'm not mistaken. 240, 247. He's a career 247, so about 250. I mean, Willy Adames isn't a blow you out of the water average guy. He is right now with the Brewers. He is a power swinging shortstop who will drive in runs for you. I mean, you're talking about a guy with 67 RBIs already. He's a power swinging shortstop who's going to drive in runs. And that's what you have to accept. When you have him up with runners on, he's going to find a way to put the ball in play. Whether it's in the air for a sac fly, whatever it is, he's going to find a way. That's the Willy Adames you have to accept. When you can accept that, then Willy doesn't look so bad for you. There are a lot of people that want to see Willy progress, become that next level hitter, because he is hitting so high in the order. I agree with that. I would be okay to see Willy Adames dropped in the order sometimes. If he's cold, because as we know, he goes on streaks. If he goes cold for a couple days, drop him in the order a little bit. Maybe the 6th spot. Maybe the 7th spot. Maybe even the 5, right? Let him sit there for a couple days. He'll find his bat again. We know it. We've watched him. He'll find that bat again. Then we fluctuate. You can move him around in the order. I don't need to see him in the 4-hole every day. He can be a guy who can be moved around in the order. And the hard part is to find a guy to replace Adames in the cleanup spot because Rhys hasn't been hitting the ball well. But if Rhys starts to hit with power, maybe that's your 4-hole guy. Maybe Willy gets dropped to 5. You could maybe interchange those guys, work with it. There's lots of different scenarios that the Brewers will be able to work with there. But, like I said, we didn't even get into the full spectrum of things I want to get into. So, I'm going to continue the Brewers first half review tomorrow here on the show. We'll get more into the pitching. We'll get a little bit more into the lineup there and stats like that. But looking at the pitching, seeing how that fared in the first half, everybody kind of has their same opinions on the starting pitching and everything like that. But I want to look at it from all perspectives. So we're going to look at pitching tomorrow. I want to look at the lineup a little bit more, look at team stats, and then see where the day takes us. Lots of good stuff happening in the world of sports. So we got to get into it all tomorrow here on the show. But with that, like I always say, find us everywhere you get podcasts. Let everybody know. If you enjoy the podcast, please spread the name. Spread the name out there. I'd love for more people to hear it. I'd love for more comments and reviews. And I'd love to, have you guys rate the show too. So I can get ratings out there so people can see that and everything like that. And I want to thank everybody for listening to the show. If you do every day, if you just tune in here and there, I want to thank you for listening to the show because it is awesome. It is awesome being able to talk sports every single day there. So with that, that is all I got for today. This has been Wisconsin Sports on the Go with Trage. Thank you all for listening. I hope you guys enjoyed the rest of your Wednesday. But until I talk to you guys again tomorrow, deuces.
Yeah, oh my Lord, watch me sway. Darkness falls and we all pray, hoping for the light of day. Down to the river, I have held the devil's hand, felt the weight of my own sin, burdened by the heart of man. Down to the river, down to the river.